Communication is one of those topics that comes again and again and again in coaching situations. And communication doesn't always have to do with other people. It can be the kind of communication we have with our own selves, the kind of communication that takes place in our own heads. This is usually the biggest part of communication that we need to address and figure out. And that's why mindset coaching comes and sits really nicely on top of communicating. Whether it is communicating with ourselves or communicating with other people, whether it is you having that difficult conversation that has been really hard to get to, and perhaps you need the space to express the things that are happening with you, the reservations you have, the fears you have around that conversation, the worst case scenarios that might come, reframing that story in order for you to be more empowered to step into that uncomfortable conversation. And that can, of course, take place from work to relationships to anywhere. But having the space to feel safe, to feel like you can express yourself, because when we have that conversation, that usually the third, to see the stories that you create around that person and the thing that gets and makes it to be difficult. So apart from communicating with other people, being able to create resolutions around problematic areas, things that they're having hard, things that they're hard, another way that communication and coaching go together is about us being able to discover the things that we want and being able to directly ask for the things that we want. And you see, that is about us being able to be in touch with what's happening within and also being able to communicate what's happening within outside. So what you see through that process of communication and what comes up is the ability to also be assertive. Once we're in touch with what we want, once we're more in touch with our boundaries, once we understand them more, then we have that ability to assert ourselves. Not fully, because we might have different beliefs and fears and not have the skills yet, have not built the skills yet to be assertive. There are many different techniques and many different ways of doing that. But most of all, it's about us being able to align with ourselves more. By going through the process of coaching, we can learn to become better at being assertive and better at communicating our needs to others, communicating our boundaries to others. Again, that's not an easy thing to do, but with practice, we become better and better. Lastly, when it comes to communication, the thing that I've enjoyed doing the most, the skill that I've enjoyed building the most lately in my life has been the art of public speaking. The ability for me to stand in front of an audience, the ability for me to stand in front of a camera and actually be able to communicate and say the things that I want. Coming to that point with starting from notes, being afraid and opening up slowly, becoming more confident, being able, more confident with us to expressing our ideas. Because for me, that's what I see in public speaking. Sometimes we see these amazing speakers. No, it's not about that. It could be about that, but it's not about that. It's about us being able to communicate the ideas that we have in order not to present them for us to feel great, although that might be an underlying thing. But again, we can work and expand. But it's about us being able to create a message and craft it for the service of the audience, for the service of the people who are watching us or listening to us as we're presenting. But when it comes to a personal way, it's about us being more aligned, being more in touch, and communicating and being confident as part of that process, because what we say matters. So you want to become a better communicator, whether that is speaking to many people, standing in front of a board or a team meeting, or whatever that is. Being more assertive, being more clear with what you want, being more transparent, more authentic, of course, because that is the basis of communication. If you want any of that, I'll be happy to chat with you.